Hey guys, so I'm going to do something a little bit different today. Usually I do the Metal Maker in blog form. The weekly Metal Maker is something I've been doing for, gosh, 5 years, every Saturday roughly. Today's is Metal Maker number 279. What is Mettle? Mettle is Mettle is toughness. It's an old-fashioned word, and it's has the same word origin as metal. Metal has to do with toughness. In fact, metal, in terms of your personal metal, is actually the inspiration for metal. Metal. So the word metal had to do with people before it had to do with iron and other metals. All right, so salt, sugar, and elements is the theme of today's Metal Maker, and we're going to talk first the self-defense segment. There's 4 segments to the Metal Maker. The first is self-defense, the second is fitness, the third is the survival element, and then the fourth is the spiritual element. So I want to talk a little bit about elemental contact. Now, there's nothing new under the sun, and quite honestly, when we work on our self-defense stuff here at Heritage, we don't just pull stuff out and invent stuff and say that it works. We try to use stuff that's proven, that we know works. I have a copy of Marine Corps training film number MTF-12, which is Combat Conditioning Part 1, Accelerated Calisthenics and Elemental Contact. This film was made in the 1940s. It was used to prep Marines for combat, and it was used for a long time. And during that time, we had to process a lot of soldiers and get a lot of soldiers ready for combat. And that program lasted sometime between, basic training lasted somewhere between 4 and 10 weeks in those days. And it got shortened as the need came to process soldiers and get them ready to fight. One of the key elements of that program is elemental contact, which is the idea that physical contact is a fundamental property of a soldier. There's plenty of ways to train people to fight, and you can certainly do a sink or swim method to get people ready for fighting. The problem is that they might not be in any condition to actually fight in the field. So what's really interesting about the program that's laid out in this Marine training film number 12 is that you should be ready to fight when you graduate the program. You should be healthy and unhurt. We could not during war, and we cannot as everyday citizens afford to train so hard that we're crippled. We can't go to work, we're injured, we lose training time, and so forth. So there are a number of drills that we just took whole cloth right out of that training video and training film and put straight into Heritage Self-Defense. And I'm not going to lay those out for you. You'll have to either come out to the club and train, or you'll have to take the distance learning program. Go to heritageartsinc.com and go ahead and sign up if you want to do it. So the next thing I want to talk about is fitness. During this last weekend's hike, I almost pushed myself into the point of going into shock, and that was dangerous and it was stupid because shock can kill you. And if you go into shock, then your friends have to help you, which puts them at risk. So that was pretty dumb, and it happened because I made a rookie error, and that is it's kind of a dual error. Not only did I not put any calcium tablets or salt or sugar into my emergency kit, I forgot to put it in my pocket. I had it sitting out, and then I left it out of my pocket, which I meant to bring those. Ordinary antacid tablets contain calcium, and they're really good for stopping leg cramps. So you should have those in your first aid kit, and you should have those in your pocket. But from a fitness standpoint, my legs got severe cramps. Fortunately, I had granola bars and I had jerky, which got me the sugar and they got me the salt. And I had tons of water. I wasn't dehydrated. The problem is I didn't have the calcium pills. Um, did our forebears have all this technology? No, but rest assured, if Daniel Boone and David Crockett had those, they would have brought them and they would have used them. So I would say, make, by all means, in your first aid kit, put a little tube of those cheap antacid tabs that contain calcium. Also, some salt and some sugar packs from the restaurant, and you will really get the benefit of those. Redundancy is essential for fitness and survival. The other thing that came to light was on the way down, my daughter, and this is the Wildwood portion, my daughter was starting to run out of steam and she really wanted to get a clear picture of where we were. Now, we're not one of those, I don't believe in using all those phone apps that Garmin and All Trails and all that show you exactly where you are. If you're desperate to know, then I guess that kind of thing. But for me, it pulls me out of the experience. And although I've tried them, it just, to me, it takes me out of the woods. And then one of the reasons why I'm there is so that I can stay off of my phone and I can unplug. So I wanted to use, and I also want to make sure I'm using my wilderness skills as much as I can. So on the way down, in order to find out where we were, I used every resource I had. I used time, how long I thought we'd been moving, and so forth. But I also used my nose. Now, I was able to smell the creek, Cripple Creek, long before I heard it. And as soon as I caught a whiff of Cripple Creek, if you've been in the woods, you know what a creek smells like, a woodland creek smells like. I was able to say, well, I think we're probably 100 or 2 yards from the creek. The creek was the 1/3 point, and I was able to tell her we're about 2/3 of the way down. Smell is an underestimated sense in the nature appreciation and survival realm. It can help you find plants, it can help you find prey animals, it can help you avoid predators. There's a lot to be said for smell, and people don't use it as much as they should. Now, if you go to the blog for today, go to heritageartsinc.com. There's a link there to an article about a scientific test that was done that it shows that human beings can actually track by scent, and studies have been done. Now, humans can't get, most humans, that is, can't get as good as dogs at training, although there have been several humans who can do it, and that can happen. But if you practice it, you can get good enough to do an amazing job of creating a scent map of your environment. Now, the easiest animals to detect by smell, obviously skunks. You can detect 1 part per million of skunk aroma with the human nose, and I can't tell you how many times I've been in the woods and said, yeah, skunks could be somewhere, anywhere within a couple of 100 yards. You can smell a skunk. But other animals are really easy to spot if you're in the woods. And rabbits have a smell that's pretty distinctive, and rabbit droppings. But I would say bobcat smell, dog, feral cats, feral dogs, those are all very easy to scent in the woods with relative ease. Cats just have a powerful smell. That's all there is to it. And if you're attuned to it and you know what you're looking for and you're paying attention, you can pick up on all that real quickly. Just make an effort to do it. That's all it takes. Just make an effort to taste the air. And Mark Hatmaker does a lot of talking about this on his Indigenous Ability blog, Scents for Real. So learn to smell. Follow your nose. So salt from a spiritual context. Matthew 13 through 16. You are the salt of the earth, but if salt has lost its taste, how shall its saltness be restored? It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trodden underfoot. So salt historically is used to preserve. It's used to keep things fresh, to keep them from spoiling. And it's used to preserve human beings in difficult endeavors. The harder you work, the more salt you need. So, in the mind, body, spirit continuum, when I was on the hike and I began to flag and I made a mistake and I forgot to bring my calcium tabs, I reached out for salt to restore me and to bring back my my electrolytes and help me on. Now, I wish that I'd remembered my calcium too. But I was able to rely on my spiritual training to help support the weakness of my body and to support the weakness of my mind in my forgetfulness for having forgotten one of the things that I needed. And am I ashamed of the fact that I made the mistake and forgot? Yeah, I sure am. And am I disappointed in my 60-year-old body for flagging? Yes, I'm disappointed. But what I am proud of is that people didn't seem to notice how bad I was suffering, and I was able to rely on my spiritual training, which, as weak as I may be in other realms, spiritually I feel like I'm stronger than I've ever been. Much improvement, always, always. Still improvement is possible, but I am stronger in that fashion than maybe I've ever been. And so the mind, body, and the spirit, this is not some new age silliness. This is for real. And I think that when we read Matthew, we need to understand that we are the salt of the earth and that we are what gives the rest of the world its taste. We need to be, as individuals, preservers of the world, the things that preserve it. We need to be the ones that provide the extra endurance, the ones that others rely upon when they are exerted to their fullest extent. We need to be the strength that bolsters the world. And we start with ourselves, and then we bolster our families, and then our communities, and then our nation, and then our world. Because when the salt loses its savor, it's not good for anything but being trodden underfoot. I hope you enjoyed this weekly Metal Maker. I can do these on video if you guys like them. You just need to make them popular because I'm not going to make videos that don't get watched. So if you like this video and you think it was worthwhile, share it. Thanks for watching. Take care.